They told us we were moving from room 3B to room 4A because of technical issues. It was a rushed announcement, with no further explanation. The teachers acted like it was nothing, but it was obvious that no one wanted to talk about it. Room 3B had been our main classroom. Well-equipped, comfortable, no visible problems. The next day, we walked by and saw the curtains shut, the door locked, and eventually, even a padlock added. No one entered after that. A few days before the switch, Alex disappeared. We weren't close friends, but we sat near each other and had worked on a group project together last term. I figured he must have transferred until I asked our math teacher if she knew what happened. She stopped mid-sentence, looked me dead in the eye and said, "That's not your concern." That's when I realized something wasn't right at all. Every Thursday, I stayed late for a tech workshop. That week, I decided to dig a little. I went into the old storage room in the basement, the one where they keep broken desks and outdated gear. In a dusty box full of keys, I found one labeled B-Wing. It was rusty but distinct. I slipped it into my pocket and waited until everyone had left. It was 5:45 p.m. when I walked down the second-floor hallway. The place was dead silent. My footsteps echoed. I slid the key into the lock on room 3B. To my surprise, it turned with a bit of effort and opened. The room was dark. Faint light slipped in through gaps in the curtains, barely reaching the first few desks. The air reeked of bleach and something metallic. Desks were overturned, some broken. The walls were scratched up with strange marks, words you couldn't quite read, like someone had carved them in a frenzy. On the whiteboard, still faintly visible under smeared eraser stains, was a name in red marker. Alex M. Circled. My chest tightened. In the back left corner stood a tall metal cabinet I didn't remember being there before. It was locked with a number pad, but next to it was an older wooden cabinet, partially open. I carefully pulled it wider. Inside was a small DVR system, an old monitor still powered on, and a camera mounted on the inside of the door. Recording. The red light blinked. On the bottom shelf sat a folder full of photos. I flipped it open. Every photo was taken from odd angles, below desks, behind chairs, zoomed-in faces and bodies. I recognized at least 3 classmates. These weren't school project photos. These were taken without permission, without anyone knowing. I felt sick. I shoved the photos back in and closed the cabinet. As I did, I felt something behind me. I turned. A man stood in the doorway, tall, wearing a dark jacket and shaved head. I'd never seen him at the school before. He held the door open for a second, then shut it gently, locked it with the same padlock I'd seen from the outside, then stood in front of it. "You shouldn't be in here," he said calmly, without raising his voice. I locked eyes with him. Cold. Empty. He started walking toward me, slow and deliberate. I stepped back. "Where'd you get the key?" he asked. I didn't answer. My mouth was dry. He grabbed my arm suddenly, hard. I slammed my shoulder into his chest, trying to break free. He barely moved. Then he shoved me backwards. I crashed into a desk. My knee slammed into metal. Sharp pain shot up my leg. I got up fast. "Listen closely," he said, stepping in again. "You won't tell anyone what you saw. No one will believe you. And if you try, we know where you live." My heart was hammering. I grabbed the teacher's stool beside me and threw it at him, not to hurt him, just to distract. He ducked slightly, just enough for me to dash past him. I hit the door hard, unlocked it clumsily, and bolted into the hallway. I didn't look back. I flew down the stairs, limping but running, and burst out the side entrance of the building. My knee throbbed. My hands shook. I didn't stop until I hit the parking lot. I didn't tell anyone until the next evening. My dad and I went straight to the principal. I laid everything out. His reaction? Cold. Defensive. He told us room 3B had been closed for maintenance, and that no unauthorized personnel had access. When I mentioned the camera, the cabinet, the photos, they brushed it off. "You probably saw something else," they said. There's no record of any such setup. My dad was furious. He demanded we be taken to the classroom. They scheduled an appointment 2 days later. When we finally entered room 3B, it looked completely different. Fresh paint, desks perfectly aligned, no scratches, no broken chairs, no name on the board. The cabinet? Gone. I asked about Alex. They said his family moved away suddenly. They relocated out of town, was all they told me. His name was nowhere. No photos on bulletin boards, no files in the system. It was like he'd never been enrolled. I didn't really want to be there, not truly, but everyone kept saying that this year's spring dance would be different, better organized, safer, more fun. So I gave in. I wore the collared shirt my mom insisted made me look grown up and pretended I had someone to hang out with. The gym was packed. Lights were dimmed low, blue and pink beams sweeping across the sticky floor. Music pounded against the walls like a panicked heartbeat. People were yelling to be heard over the bass, laughing, flirting, dancing. I stayed near the edges, beside the folded bleachers, sipping a soda that had already gone flat. Josh was supposed to meet me at 8:30, but it was 9:10, and he hadn't shown. I'd texted him twice, no answer. Typical. Maybe he was with Emma again, or maybe he got bored and left. Reliability wasn't exactly his strength. I did a slow lap around the gym, scanning the crowd. That's when I saw someone I didn't expect, Tyler Reeves. We hadn't spoken since last semester. There was no reason we would. He wasn't popular, but he had a presence. Quiet. Always watching people. Always writing in that black notebook he carried everywhere. Some kids joked he was planning something. Others just avoided him. That night, he wasn't dancing. He wasn't talking to anyone. He stood alone in the hallway just outside the gym doors, staring directly at me. At first I thought it was a coincidence. I looked away, then back, still staring, not moving. Trying to act casual, I walked back toward the refreshment table, but I couldn't stop glancing at the door. Eventually, curiosity won. I slipped out into the hallway. He was gone. I stood for a moment, listening to the music thudding behind me, then turned toward the restroom corridor. Nothing. But further down the hallway, past the main office, one classroom door was cracked open. The lights inside were off. It was room 112, health class. We hadn't had class there in over a month due to renovations or something. I wouldn't have thought twice about it, except that the door had definitely been shut earlier. And Tyler had been right there. I walked toward it. My sneakers made barely a sound against the old tile floor. I hesitated, knocked once, and asked quietly, "Hello? Josh, is that you?" No answer. I pushed the door open. The air inside was heavy and warm, and the only light came from behind me, filtering in from the hallway. Desks were stacked in the corners. The whiteboard was smeared with faded marker stains. In the far corner, near the windows, someone sat at the teacher's desk. Tyler. His notebook was open, and he was writing in it, fast and sharp. The only sound in the room was his pen dragging across the page. "Tyler?" I asked. He didn't look up, didn't even flinch. When he finally stood, he stared at me with blank, glassy eyes. "You're not supposed to be here," he muttered. I blinked. "Did Josh send you?" he asked next. "No," I said carefully. "I was just looking for him." His voice dropped. "He knows what he did." I didn't understand. I took a step toward the door, but he followed. "They all laughed," he said. "They thought I forgot, but I didn't." I shook my head. "I don't know what you're talking about." "October," he snapped. "Outside the cafeteria, you laughed too." "I didn't," I said quickly. "I swear I didn't." "Exactly," he whispered. "You don't even remember." His voice grew colder. He flipped through his notebook, muttering to himself. Then he froze. "Josh came in here earlier. I told him to wait. He ran." I turned to leave. "Don't," he said sharply behind me. I stopped. My back was still to him. Then I heard it, a faint knocking. The supply closet next to the desk. Without thinking, I moved quickly and pulled the door open. Inside, crouched in the corner, was Josh. His hands were tied with a phone charger. Tape covered his mouth. My stomach flipped. I ripped off the tape. "What happened?" I asked. "He locked me in," Josh whispered, his voice hoarse. "He said he just wanted to talk." I turned back. Tyler was now standing in the doorway. He didn't move. "You shouldn't have let him out," he said. I stepped in front of Josh. "We're leaving," I said firmly. Tyler didn't stop us. As we walked past him, he whispered, "I just wanted someone to listen." We didn't stop. We didn't run, not yet. Not until we were down the hallway and back in the gym, the music still pounding like nothing had happened. No one noticed we'd been gone. We found a teacher and told them everything. They went to the classroom. The closet was locked again. Empty. No notebook. No Tyler. He didn't come to school the next day or the day after. A week later, I received a small package in the mail. No return address. Inside was the black notebook. On the last page, it read, "Now someone knows." I never liked staying after school. There's something unsettling about those long, empty hallways when everyone else is gone. The echo of your footsteps. The way the fluorescent lights buzz just a little louder, like the building is holding its breath. That day, I had detention. 1 hour, nothing serious. Just a late homework excuse the teacher didn't buy. By the time I left, the sky was turning orange. Most students were long gone. I was alone in the West Wing, where the older classrooms and storage rooms are. They don't even use that side much anymore. As I walked toward the main exit, I passed the last hallway, the one that ends at the big gray door. The one that's always locked. It's a storage room or maintenance closet or something. I'd never seen it open in all my years there. It's just there, at the end, like a wall that leads nowhere. But that day, it was open. Just a crack, maybe 6 inches, enough to see darkness inside, and that soft kind of draft you can feel on your skin. I stopped walking. No janitor in sight, no teachers, no reason for it to be open. I told myself to keep walking. I didn't. I took a few steps closer, not because I wanted to, but because something about it felt off. Like when you notice a drawer that's open just enough to bother you, and you have to check it. I reached the door and nudged it a little wider. It creaked, slow and dry. Inside was a plain room, cement floor, bare walls, shelves lined with old school supplies, boxes, files, a few broken chairs. It smelled like paper and dust. Then I noticed something strange. The far corner had a stack of chairs, and behind them, a mattress. A single mattress lying flat on the floor, no sheets, no blanket. Just there. I took half a step in, just to get a better look. The air felt heavier somehow, like it hadn't moved in a while. That's when I heard the footsteps. Fast. Behind me. I spun around, but the hallway was empty. I stepped back into the hall, looking both ways. Nothing. Just the dim buzzing lights and the polished floor stretching in both directions. Maybe it was echo. Maybe the janitor downstairs. I tried to calm myself, told myself to get out. As I turned back to pull the door closed, I heard a voice, low, almost a whisper. It had come from inside the room. I didn't see anyone, but the voice was real. It wasn't in my head. I backed away, fast. The door creaked shut by itself, the draft pulling it slowly until it clicked. I walked straight to the front exit, not running, but close. My hands were shaking. I didn't even grab my bag from the locker, just left. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I told myself I imagined it. Stress, late night, weird acoustics. But I needed to know. So during lunch, I went back. There was no one in the hallway. The door at the end? Locked. Not just closed, Padlocked. A heavy black lock on a thick chain looped through the handle, like it had been that way for years. I stood there staring at it for a full minute. There was no way that had been there yesterday. I even took a photo with my phone, just to prove it to myself. Then I heard a voice behind me. "You're not supposed to be back here." It was Mr. Hallman, the head custodian, big guy, usually quiet, but this time his tone was sharp. I muttered something about getting lost, but he didn't buy it. He looked at me like he knew I'd been inside. "That room is sealed. No one goes in there. No one's been in there for a long time." I nodded, apologized, walked away fast, but something about the way he said it stuck with me. No one goes in there. For a long time. The next week passed quietly. I avoided that hallway, stuck to my classes, tried to forget about the whole thing, but it kept nagging at me. The voice, the mattress, the sound of footsteps. And then came Thursday. We had a substitute for chemistry, so I left early with a hall pass. The west wing was empty again. Quiet. When I turned the corner, I froze. The door? Open again. No chain, no padlock, just slightly ajar. Just like the first time. This time, I didn't go in. I took a photo, zoomed in. The mattress was still there, and something else. A shoe. Just one. Small, dirty, half under the mattress. I backed away, slowly. Then a noise, from inside. A cough. Short, soft, human. I didn't wait. I left the building, fast, called in sick the next day. Didn't go near that hallway again. Weeks later, the school held a lockdown drill. During the all clear, we all got an announcement over the loudspeaker. "Please avoid the West Wing today. Maintenance in progress." But someone I knew, James, from the year above me, snuck a peek during lunch. He saw paramedics and police and a stretcher. No one ever explained it. They never said what they found in that room. But the day after, it was sealed again, this time with a metal plate bolted over the door. No lock, no handle, just gone. Now, whenever I stay late at school, I don't take the west hallway. I don't look at that end of the building, and I don't ask questions about what used to be in there, because someone, or something, still whispers from that room, and I think whatever they found wasn't supposed to be alive.